All right. Hello, hello. Welcome
Hi.
to, welcome to today's conversation. Here you have myself, Coach Eli. You have Marty Mardarius, and we have Frida Thomas. We're going to give him the chance to introduce himself shortly. But just so you know what you've jumped into a live session on salary negotiation and crushing the offer, getting more value coming your way in a negotiation, right? And these days, the market's pretty hot. There are a lot of job opportunities out there, and we want to really help you evaluate these offers more effectively. Make sure you're getting exactly what you need. You're not leaving money on the table. And we have a variety of questions we're going to go through today to just kind of help our audience here really understand how to obtain and get and generate more value for themselves, both financially and through some of the benefits that come through salary negotiation. So, real quick, my name is Eli Beaumont. I'm an international career coach, 5-time career changer, and the head coach of your career strategy. Been doing this for about 8 years, supported thousands of people across 120 countries in navigating career change, and very excited to be sharing a lot of these tips that have been acquired over the years with all of you today. I'm going to pass it off to Frida. And Frida, you can introduce yourself, and then we'll pass it off to Mardarius after that.
Okay, sounds great. Eli, first of all, thank you so much for hosting us. Super excited to be here with you, gentlemen, again, since
Mm.
we had the pleasure of being and sharing a panel previously. Was that April or
Oh,
May?
yeah, end of
That's
April.
April.
Yeah. So happy to be here. I am one exam short of certifying as a professional coach. I've been in this space of career and business advisory services for the past 18 years. It's been a minute. And I work with career professionals who are at that senior management level trying to take it to the next strata. My objective is to help businesses and career professionals realize their dreams. And I'm going to throw it over to Marty, Mardarius.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you, sir. Like Eli, thank you for having us, hosting us, and Frida, thank you so much for this event. Well, I go by Marty, the corporate coach, and I really started M3, the corporate coach, as a way to be a economic resource to disadvantaged populations, and that's when I started in 2019. It has grown, outgrown itself. So now I work from anyone from the janitorial staff all the way to senior level management, helping them develop strategies to increase their revenue. So I'm super excited about this conversation. I'm glad to kick it off with some amazing people.
Oh, feels good. All
Yeah.
right. So I just want to let our audience know that if you want, you can comment here and we'll see your questions come up and we'll create the space to answer them. All right. So don't hesitate.
Yes.
First question here is, when does salary negotiation start? When does salary negotiation start? Um, Frida, would you like to let us know when you believe the salary negotiation actually begins?
Yes. So great question. And I would say start thinking about what you want in a salary even before you have the interview, because you want to set the interview up so you can walk away with the kind of information that will help you determine how best to have that negotiation conversation. For instance, one of my favorite things to have my clients think about when you're in the interview, start asking about the kind of projects you're going to be working on, why they are hiring to facilitate those projects. Ask them what the bottom and top line results are that they're looking for. So when you get into that discussion about negotiation, you can say, well, based on my previous experience where I was able to add value, this is how I see my worth.
Love it. I love it. That makes so much sense. It really does. The interview is a really important piece of the sound negotiation process because that's really where you can break down the scope of work and then tie back the value you've been able to add previously to what the employer can see you do going forward. How about yourself, Mardarius? When do you believe salary negotiation starts?
So I definitely am in agreement. Like it starts at the beginning, right? So I think a very important piece of the market is to really look at and do the research concerning what the range might be, particularly for a role that you're looking at. So if if you have established a worth for yourself, it definitely saves a lot of time and a lot of energy if you find that your research shows that the company is not compensating you what you think you deserve or what you know you deserve. So it starts at the initial phase. So researching the companies to see if the job aligns with what you want to do, but also if it aligns with the money that you want to make. And a lot of jobs are very public. Well, I ain't gonna say very public, but you can definitely find some information that gives you an estimate of what a company is paying its employees, and then using that information to really make a really informed decision about whether or not you want to even apply.
Mm. Just on that topic, real quick, Mardarius, because you talked about doing some research, gathering that information. I'm curious if you have any resources that you might be able to share here with our audience. And audience, don't forget, you can add a comment on LinkedIn. You can ask us a question, and we'll bring it up. We want to make sure it's interactive. I know it's just the three of us here, but the more you can engage, and if you have any questions that come to the surface, we're happy to answer them for you here today. But jumping back into it, Mardarius, what are some of those research tools that you might recommend for individuals to utilize to really better prepare for this conversation?
I know we kind of talked about this, but one thing I do rely on heavily is LinkedIn, giving you an estimated, ballpark figure what the range could be. Also, Glassdoor is a good resource to use, and for a government agency. So I recently helped a client with this, and you can for a government everything is public. If you work for the federal government, you can look it up, right? Everything as far as finances go. And so you can really look up in the state that you're looking at and trying to find the position that you're applying to, and really using that as a way to help you pivot and ask for more money. So if they offer you a certain amount, it's not what the previous person made in that position, you have some leverage because you know what they were making. So using some of those pieces can help you really find out what you want to make in your, or find out what the salary is for that particular position.
Mm, love it. Frida, how about yourself? Do you have any particular tools or resources that you often recommend to your clients to take into consideration when
Yeah,
conducting?
I'm with Darius. Go to LinkedIn and let's be specific so we can give people some things that they can walk away with. If you log into your LinkedIn profile, on the top, you're going to see a stream of menus, and jobs is like in the middle between home and messaging. Click on jobs and you can actually search job title and location. If you have a premium account, you can even go deeper and start looking at actual benefits, and if you want to have a conversation with someone at an organization, I would say very comfortably and professionally reach out to them and just say, I'd be curious about some of your experience working at the organization, and you'd be surprised at how much people are willing to share.
I love that. Asking people who've been there before, who can give you some insights. I literally had someone do that to me the other day. I worked at this one organization not too long ago. I just won't share names, but this individual came in because they're interviewing there and asked for a little perspective on what to expect, both from like salary, culture, work environment, and
Yeah.
I was very happy to have the conversation, noting that I had not been there for a few years. So
Good.
things could have shifted, right?
Good.
But if I could just give a few thoughts here on this as well. One of the main resources most people use these days as well is Glassdoor.com. It's a
Oh
pretty
yeah.
pretty great tool that's gives a lot of or employee-led information on salary expectations, what to expect, interview questions that might come up for particular jobs, but really it can help give you a particular range based on a particular market, right? And really taking into consideration the market that you're in, right? Especially if a lot of roles used to be remote, now are moving back towards hybrid slash in person, hopefully not full time if companies want to keep their people,
Right.
but generally, something to take into consideration here is like if the role was remote and it was based in New York City, for example, but now it's gone back to full time and they're trying to keep the salary range a little bit lower, there are a lot more costs to consider with that commute time and actively being back in person. So, with the changing environment, there's going to be a lot of room for negotiation. Understanding your market is really important. Markets in, let's say, Texas or North Carolina are going to pay a lot less than markets in San Francisco or New York City. And just kind of really being aware of where you're doing your research, the markets for that research, the type of organization. Not to say nonprofits don't always pay fairly little compared to for-profit companies. That's not always the case. But
Right.
education, nonprofits, industry is going to make a huge difference based on how to prepare and what your expectations should be for particular roles. So,
Yeah,
hopefully,
I
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, go
I
for it.
agree with that, Eli. Sorry to interrupt you,
No,
but
not at
I
all.
love Glassdoor, and I would go a step further to say, you know how they give the star ratings, the employees rate the company. I've had some of my clients who really wanted to work for a company, but the ratings were horrid. And they, in an effort to try to convince themselves that it was okay, they said, oh, well, those are probably just a couple of disgruntled employees. But I mean, like 10 one-star ratings, you might want to do a little time out with that
Oh
company,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Red
Yeah.
flags, right? But you can always ask. You can ask. I've heard of employees asking or individuals interviewing asking, "Hey, I noticed on Glassdoor that there were a lot of one-star ratings that said these themes, right? And I just want to make sure I know what I'm stepping into. So could you shed a little bit more light on why these things may have been said and why the culture, why this wouldn't be the culture I'd be walking into?"
Yeah, I
Right.
love that. I love that.
Cool, cool. We do have a question from the audience here.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so Yarrow asks, well, thank you for being here, Yarrow. As she's
Thank
happy
you.
to be here, happy to be learning. So the question is, can you negotiate after accepting an offer, but before the HR paperwork? So it sounds like, can you negotiate after verbally accepting an offer before the offer paperwork has been drawn up and signed?
Mm.
So
Dicey,
yeah,
dicey.
yeah, yeah.
I
I
would
always okay. I'm sorry.
no,
No, go
no,
ahead.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Marty.
So
Mardarius.
I always say is until it's written out, everything is negotiable, right? So it's until until the your name is on the dotted line, you can try to negotiate anything, right? But that also leaves some room, for them to say, no, I mean, so I mean, it the worst of it all, right? They can only say no, right? That's the worst case scenario. After you verbally accepting an offer. But always when you do get when you do the negotiating part, I always do believe in doing everything in writing so that you can always keep a track of it. But also when you sign the offer letter, when the actual letter comes, make sure it's everything that they agreed to negotiate afterwards. So I don't think this is always the best practice, right? But I do think sometimes excitement gets to us and we're like, oh yeah, I want to work for the top notch company and they just offer me a job, and then you sit back and think after the excitement has kind of worn off. And you're like, well, I think I should be asking for more, right? So I think it's not the best practice to always employ, but definitely, definitely going after what you want if it's something that you desire. Always just asking those questions of can you.
Mm,
I
100%
love
for
that
Frida.
approach. Yeah, I love that approach. However, I would say trust your intuition. And what's so beautiful about what we're doing is we're giving you the tips so that hopefully you can really prepare. Think about going for a job like interviewing for a husband or a wife. You you're going to want to make sure they've got a great credit score, that you're not going to be bailing them out the first couple of years because they've got
Love it.
bad debt, right? You're going to ask a bevy of questions. So Yarrow, I love that you came in and asked this question. I would offer to think about the environment while you were interviewing, kind of get a read of what you sensed about the people in the room and how they might perceive you coming back and asking for more, right? I offer to people all the time, trust your intuition, because your intuition is your higher self and it's always trying to prepare you, prevent something from, or avert something from happening to you, right? So be careful. Be
Perfect.
careful when crossing the street.
Perfect. Intuition is most important because you have to really feel comfortable with the approach that you're taking. I was speaking with a client navigating this exact situation earlier today, and she was, she was feeling like the approach she wanted to take could be a little bit too abrasive, and she didn't want to ruin the chance or the opportunity, or even like the perception of how she might be perceived when she walks in. So there's this concept of like stretching because you want to be a little bit uncomfortable. You want to stretch yourself to the point where there's a little discomfort because these conversations are challenging, right?
Mhm.
But you also don't want to stretch to the point of breaking, right? So you want to feel like you've done like a pretty good job at navigating that. And when it comes to an offer being verbally accepted, if you're able to say, I'm super excited and energized by the fact that you're asking me to become a part of this organization. I've really been looking forward to this. So I'm going to give you a soft yes because I'm really interested, but I need to see the paperwork just to make sure I fully comprehend the full scope of the offer, the benefits, and I may have other questions. I may come back to you with, uh, yeah, mostly just questions that I might like some elaboration on, especially if there are just areas that are that maybe we like missed expectations on or misaligned expectations on. So I'll await the offer, and really, even if you accept verbally, you can always negotiate when the offer comes back because you have it in writing. You're able to then review it, and then you can always go back. And I always tell my clients, push for the salary you feel you deserve, even if they're at where you want to be. Why not ask for a little bit more? Worst they could say is no, right?
Absolutely.
Just why leave money on the
Absolutely.
table, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I want to say in Yarrow's defense, she said this was actually for a friend while we're talking to her, but she's asking for her friend. And I would say, Yarrow, share this recording with your friend afterwards so that she can be empowered and learn from this experience. And I love the thought, Eli, of saying, I'm going to do a soft yes. And I would go one step further. Even when you want the job, say to them, can you give me 24 hours? Because that way you get a chance to walk away, be objective. You're not emotional in the moment, all excited, don't have all your ducks in a row, and you get a chance to be reflective of what actually transpired. And I think in most cases, the hiring authorities are going to really appreciate your just kind of slowing things down and wanting to step away for a minute to kind of and just as Eli said, saying, I am super excited, I'm really close to yes, but could you just give me 24 hours? I want to make sure I'm clear on some things.
Yeah, perfect. So Yara found a lot of value in this. We have a few more questions here, so I'm going to pull them up. We have a LinkedIn user, so I'm sorry we don't have your name here, but the question itself is, if the HR department tells you that the salary is a firm amount, do you still have room to negotiate? What are your thoughts
I
here?
I wouldn't touch the salary, but I would have a list of other sweet benefits that I might want. And there are some great perks that are out there that people are asking for and they're getting it. And as Marty said, if you don't ask, how do you know? If it's
Yeah,
not money, will they pay part of your gym membership? There's pet services that companies are covering. There's just so much. There's a signing bonus. Who says you can't ask for one?
yeah. 100%. There are so many added benefits, and I like what Chasneet says here. She says, "I feel like when a salary range is provided, employers tend to start with the lower end, right? Or
Mm.
whether it's if it's a range or a set number, there's still like if it's a set number that they're giving, there has to be some room for growth over time, right? Or you would hope that's how the employers structure it, right? So in that particular instance, if they are, and the original question was, if HR tells you the salary is firm, is there room to negotiate? The answer is, yeah. I mean, you may have gotten one salary early on, but what about the scope of work? Is that the same throughout the entirety of your conversation with the team?
Mm.
I've worked at a lot of jobs where the job description says one thing, but I have about 6 new jobs within 3 months of starting that job. And I'm pretty sure everyone here on this call has felt that way,
Yeah.
where you start a job and it's like, oh, can you also do this? And can you also do this? And can you? So what is not on the job description that you think is going to fall into this scope of work that's based on my background, my skill set that I can help with, that I can support? How does that add value to the number that I'm going to be pushing back on and asking for? And can I use that as leverage? And I think you can.
And I love that perspective because I'm thinking about a situation with a client who was working at Citibank. So there are caveats, right? HR said the salary was firm. However, the managing authority had some leverage. So HR wasn't the last line of defense. And if the manager really wants that person, they can go to HR or the person above them and say, listen, I'm willing to move some of XYZ dollars out of my budget for ABC to get this person. I've seen that happen. So I would change my answer.
Love it. Mardarius, do you have anything to add on this particular topic, or anything that comes to mind here?
So even I know I recently had an offer, and they told me it was firm, and I just wanted to push it, right? So I'm a gambler by nature, and if I think that I deserve a little bit more, I'm definitely gonna ask, right? Even if you tell me it's firm, I'm just still gonna shoot my shot and see. Well, I'm currently making X, Y, and Z, and I think with all the duties and doing my research, it's X. I'm expecting X, Y, and Z. I think when we come from a factual lens of this is what the data shows me, right, and this is what I'm bringing to the day to the table. It's hard for people to decline something unless it's genuinely not in the budget, right? When they know that you are the solution to a problem that they need, that they have, right? So when you have the data to support you, you are the solution to their problem. Everything, and I mean, everything is negotiable. And if it's not the money aspect, like Frida said before, going for those added benefits, more time off, unlimited time, or whatever it is that's going to make you feel at ease with taking the role. And if not, you also have the ability to walk away.
Hmm. I want to come back to these fringe benefits here that we're just brushing over, but I think we can go deeper. Before we do that, we have a question from Jasneet. She says, should you provide a salary range or just one number when it comes to if you're asked by HR? So like you're at the beginning, you're on your phone screen. It's like, hey, how are you? Tell us about yourself. So what are your expectations on salary? And you're just like, hey, whoa, slow down,
Mhm.
slow down. What's all this about? I don't even know what the job's about yet. I mean, I read the description, but what's this really about, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
but let's say the recruiter's pressuring you, right? Because not because they want to, but because they have to, because there's a box that needs to be checked in their applicant tracking system, recruiting system, on Greenhouse or whatever it is, that says, I got to put something in here, or I can't move forward and I can't push you through. So tell me what expectation is. Do you just give one number? Do you give the range? Let's hear some thoughts. We have Steve here who said providing a range may be the best decision. You could also inquire about how much they have budgeted for the role. But I'd be curious to hear what others might have to say.
And I guess as they're typing in, their opinions and their thoughts concerning this question, I always think that a range is the best way to go, right? Because if you put one number, for me, and this is from my experience, you limit yourself, right? it's a little bit more limiting. And so when I think about it from the lens of, if I've done my research, I already know a little bit where I'm falling into for the role, right? And so I'm gonna give them the base of what I've researched, or the average of what I've researched, and I'm gonna add some to it. So the median, the middle number is going to be my low end, and making sure it's still within the realm of what I want. So if I know that this job is in range of what I'm looking for, maybe a little bit more, I'm still gonna push it. So if they're offering me, I mean, if the range that I found, or the salary that I found, is 85,000, I'm not gonna stop at 85. That's gonna be the mark. That's gonna be 85, like 85 to whatever the ending number is for me, right? To give them like an idea of where I'm at, but I've done my research to know that this kind of in the budget of what you're looking for. But I'm still cool with getting a little bit more. That makes sense. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So I want to share with our audience and my fellow panelists. I had the pleasure of taking a negotiation class in grad school, and there are three terms: your BATNA, your reservation point, and your target, which pretty much speaks to, I mean, that's what Marty just broke down for us, right? So your target is the desired salary. That's where you want to start, all right, in terms of that range. And you're having this conversation. The reservation, and then the next thing is the reservation point, which is somewhere between your target and your BATNA. Your BATNA is your best alternative to no alternative. That's like when you're saying, I'm done. I didn't get what I wanted, and I need this salary. It doesn't matter about the benefits or perks, right? So if you can frame your thought around, I'm going to start on the high side. I'm going to have a conversation that's somewhere in the middle where I feel pretty good that I didn't get my target. And then if that doesn't go well, I've got something on the lower spectrum that is the breaking point, right? So if you've got that kind of clarity, and I'll go a step further, start collecting some books on the art of negotiation so you can really learn about that experience, the going back and forth, how you want to pause and listen, how you want to avoid getting into some kind of combative conversation, watching body languages. All of those things can help inform what you want to do next in that ask.
It's beautiful, because really it does feel like, this is a conflict type of situation, right? You're put in a situation where it feels like there might be conflict here, because I'm going to ask for something that they may not be ready to give me, or they may have a different expectation. So how can you go about just making sure that you're really massaging this point and being super tactful? So I think Gail here asked, like, what if they give you we're touching every aspect of this. What if they give you the range and ask you for the number within that range? What do you do? And if you don't mind, maybe I could just take a shot real quick.
Yeah.
So in this particular case, if you don't ask for the top of the range, you're going to get the bottom of the range, right? Hands down. Like, this is because companies are looking at their bottom line. They want to support you, but at the same time, they want to make sure that they're getting the best deal to support their budgets, right? So you can ask for the top of the range, and you can even caveat, be like, I understand this may be at the top of your budget and you want to leave room for growth. However, I do feel that after this interview process, or based on what you've learned about me, or maybe we can dig into the scope of work a little bit more, and maybe see how I can add some additional value here to really kind of move the needle more towards the top of this budget. And maybe even you'll find that I might exceed the value that you even have here. And that's something I'd like to leave room open for to discuss at a later date. Or maybe I'd like to start at the top of the range, but really, does that leave you at a space where, now 2 years go by and they haven't been able to make more room in the budget for like the leveling process for you to get more money? Because that's something you need to consider as well. So how can I structure a conversation to say, I'd like to be here, but really I'd like to create the space in like 6 months to a year to see what we can do to level up the role. and see where I can add some additional value, because I'm sure that the scope is going to shift a little bit after I show you what I'm capable of in this role, right? But that has to come from a place of self-confidence, self-love, self-respect. So I asked this question at the beginning, right? Where does salary negotiation start? And yeah, it might start in the interview. It might start with your resume. It starts with you and how you feel about yourself and what you believe about yourself, right? It starts like before you even submit the application. Why are you submitting it? How do you feel when you submit it? What's the energy going into this thing? Is it fear energy or is it optimism? Are you excited? Are you energized? Do you believe that what you bring to the table is enough to take this company and that product or that service or whatever they do to the next level, right? So no matter what number they give you, you're priceless, Gail. You're priceless, right? Like I'm priceless. Frida's priceless. Steve and Jasneet and everyone on this call, we're all priceless. No one can put a number on us. But if we need to get paid for our time, then we want to ask for the most that we can get, and we want to validate it through our work experience, our actions, and also like making sure we fully understand the scope of what's being asked of us, and even the things that aren't being asked that we're going to have to do anyway. So those are my 2 cents, but I'm curious what else, Mardarius, Frida, let's start with Mardarius and then we'll go down.
It's hard to come after it, because that's really good stuff, right? So you definitely want to think about it from the way that you thought about it. If you want to go for the top range with making sure that you leave room to grow into and go into more money, I guess. And so I have nothing to add. I have nothing to add because
that's all good. I appreciate it.
That was good.
I get impassioned. I get impassioned by this because we have, like we work with a lot of clients, right? And the biggest challenge is not just the tactics. It's the personal belief systems. It's a limiting beliefs. It's a self-belief. It's the confidence. It's dealing with like trauma and experience and understanding it and unlearning it, and then stepping into yourself, and then stepping into the real version, authentic version of yourself. And I mean, that's at the essence what we do as coaches, right? We help people really step into that confidence. We can give you tactics all day, but if you're not ready to receive the tactics because of the self-doubt, they're only going to take you so far, right?
Right. And I can share, I think it was brilliant, just like Marty said. I wanted to start taking notes, Eli. It was so good.
It's recorded. It
was some good stuff. But I can share a recent personal experience as a coach where an opportunity came to me, marquee company. They chose me for a consulting contract. I got on the call for orientation, even though I knew, we lost Marty.
Oh, no, he's still there. He's off camera for a second.
Okay. I attended orientation, even though the amount that they were offering was so low, below market value. I was like, okay, well, let me just see if I'm missing something. And I went through orientation and I had broken down the numbers. Everybody that's on this call, I want you to know, I did my research. I did the math, all of it. And I sat on that call and I thought to myself, I invested XYZ dollars in having a master's in business. I just paid several $1,000s to be a certified coach. I'm worth a whole lot more than this. And in that moment, I deflected. I said, and I would also say to everyone on this call, consider this. Oftentimes, those decisions, I'll take it, are based, as Eli said, out of fear. And the fear is, I'm not going to get anything else. I'm not going to get anything that's even halfway as good as this. But I believe that the universe rewards courage. And the moment that you say, I'm worth more, and we want you all to be confident, but not silly in saying I'm worth more and you're giving up something that has great advantages for you. But the moment that you say you want more, that's when you get more.
That's just it. That's it. Again, some love from Jasneet here. All right,
Thanks,
she loves
Jasneet.
it. Yarrow says, just kind of reaffirming that we are priceless, but if we need to be paid, go for the top. And
Yes.
that's just it, because we all deserve to be paid at the top for the time and the effort. Hopefully we're aligned on the work that we're choosing to do, right?
Right.
And it gives us energy. So let's see, I mean, we're about 35 minutes in. We're just going to put it back out to the audience to say, hey, let us know if you have any other questions. We're here to answer them. If there's anything lingering about, when it comes to salary negotiation, preparation for these types of conversations, the research that goes into it, you let us know. Maybe you're going through something right now. Maybe you're in process of going through a negotiation, or maybe you're trying to evaluate different offers. And maybe some of the stuff we're saying doesn't resonate, right? Talk to us, right?
Yeah.
I know that we're each coming from different places, right? I definitely, come from a lot of experience negotiating salary, but I also come from a place of privilege when negotiating salary too, and it's different for everybody. It's different. Every
Mhm.
person's experience is variable based on where they come from, who they are. And I just want to make sure we're touching on everyone's experience as best as we can.
It's
So
so true about everybody being in a different place. Because if you've been out of work for 2 years, this conversation may not resonate with you. Right? Because you've got some basic corporal needs that you want to speak to. Eli, if I can just jump in for people who are
please,
listening in, if you know that you want to have a little bit of a further conversation around this, I provide a complimentary 30-minute demo coaching session. And I don't know if you all want to reach out to either of us and just shoot us a question. The reason why we're doing this is because we want you all to have an opportunity to leverage the information, the resources, the people that we've garnered in our career so that you can have a more advantageous career. So, let us know, let me know. You can message me directly on LinkedIn. And if I'm not the person answering the message, it's usually an intern, but we're very thoughtful in the way that we respond and treat people. And you can just let me know that you were in on this live stream today and you'd like to take me up on that coaching demo. And I'm glad to speak with you.
heck yeah, you better take her up on it. I mean, that's brilliant. Frida, 30 minutes of one-on-one serious coaching about any particular topic, especially if it relates to salary negotiation. She is the one to take you through it. Mardarius, how about yourself? Do you offer any ways for people to get in touch? How can people work with you?
So I don't necessarily do negotiation coaching, but I definitely would look forward to it in the future. But I definitely, I don't. Let me say this: I don't offer it as a service. It's normally like this is what you do, when it gets to that process. But I do offer a negotiation email that in my website, which is m3thecorporatecoach.com. I would love to connect with each of you all on LinkedIn. Here on LinkedIn is Mardarius Thomas. I might need to change my name on here so y'all can find me. But yeah, Mardarius Thomas, and you can connect with me there to learn a little bit more. I share a lot of different tips and strategies that I use in my personal life. I do believe if I'm going to share with someone, I need to experience it for myself. So I'm definitely looking forward to connecting with each and every one of you.
Cool. Well, everyone who is on here, you have our LinkedIn pages available, so you can just click
Okay.
connect. Yeah, they could connect with us if you aren't already connected. Everyone here does a lot of great content on LinkedIn, and we're all offering either complimentary sessions, free resources through our websites, free resources with what we post online. Our ethos, right, as coaches, we're here to help. We live as
Absolutely.
altruists. We're here to add value to others and help them step into their potential. We did see one more question come through. Let's see if this and any others. We'll keep going if we keep getting questions. But if not, we're going to wrap it up after this one. So this user here, sorry for not knowing your name, but if you have a second interview on Monday for a job that you really want to get and you're nervous when it comes to negotiation, so how do you think you should combat the nerves and make way for this negotiation, or I guess or make way for the nerves that are coming up for this interview to make sure you get to the negotiation? Who wants to
Good
take this one?
question. Good question. I like to get, as coaches, I like to get to the core of things. I want to know why you're nervous. And I want to offer to you to think about what that's about. Is that um, you haven't had a lot of experience interviewing? And if that's the case, just get in front of the mirror and practice, right? Or have your best friend come over and shoot you questions so you can just get an idea about how you respond. But if your gut tells you, I'm uncomfortable in an interview because I'm not quite confident, then you want to start trying to address what that is. What's the core of that thought? Because if we don't get to the problem, we're just kind of masking over the situation and it's just going to keep repeating itself. I wonder what you gentlemen think. And I'm going to add in the chat for people, you can sign up for my LinkedIn newsletter, and it's all about career coaching.
Love it. I suggest that this individual take you up on that 30-minute coaching session, because I think, it could tackle a little bit of that interview prep. I in the comments on LinkedIn and on YouTube, but on LinkedIn, posted a interview guide, interview preparation guide. It's basically comprehensive, helps you prepare for any question that might come up and prepare your stories ahead of time to make sure you're feeling confident. But let's see. I think they say I always have a great interview, but when it comes to the negotiation part, I seem to become tongue-tied, a bit of a twister.
So what I think about this is, like, when it comes to like the interview and the negotiation part, I think a lot of people get stuck on the power dynamic that's going on, or where someone might seem like they're in control of the next step for you, right? And what I tell people all the time is, these are people, right? These are the same people, right? So you have to treat it as if it's a normal conversation. In the same way that you're interviewing, that you're interviewing for them, they're interviewing for you as well. I always share that piece of advice. And when it comes to the negotiation part, you're just having a conversation. The worst thing that they can say is no. The worst thing that anyone can say is no. So and I know that takes some level of comfortability, right? But definitely trying to just put yourself in the frame of mind that we're just having a conversation about how this company can best satisfy my needs, right? And that's it. And when you take the power dynamic out of it, I think it becomes a little easier.
Love it. We're all just human, right? We're stepping in. The person that's interviewing you or negotiating with you, they are going through everyday life as well, right? It's take it as a conversation, not as conflict. Don't be combative. Just kind of come in, share your feelings about certain things, be candid, be transparent, be vulnerable, but be well researched at the same time. Much like we discussed earlier, know your value, understand the value in your market, make sure that you've done the research to know like what you can ask for. And maybe just quickly we'll touch on this topic of fringe benefits here, because let's say we get to salary and it's, we've hit a stopping point, right? We're at the mid to top of the range, but we wanted more. They weren't able to meet us. They say, okay, like this is what we're able to give. What else, coaches, do we have to negotiate with? What other areas can we add value through for ourselves as employees in the negotiation process or prospects?
So I put a little list of some of the most popular benefits and perks for 2022. Hybrid work model is super popular right now. A couple of days in the office, other days working from home. Goldman Sachs, according to a recent Fortune magazine article, just enlisted unlimited vacation. And they found top managers were just not taking vacation. So they are making it mandatory that employees take time off or they will not get their bonuses. That's how they're trying to enforce that. So consider that your employer is so vested in you that they're demanding you take time off. Tuition reimbursement is super important. And oftentimes it can be things not related to what you do, but that could just add value to your profession, right? And that might look like they're not going to pay up front, but you go to your senior manager and say, I'd like to take a course on project management, but you're an admin. Who wouldn't see the value of your paying for it and them reimbursing you for that, right? Signing bonuses right now are going from $1,000 in the healthcare industry right now. You could get a $10,000 signing bonus. If you don't ask for it, you don't know. Is it possible? Our signing bonus is a possibility, right? There's pet insurance. There's I can't even imagine it, but I guess it's true. ID theft protection, because during COVID, there was this influx of cybercrime, right? And then fitness and wellness reimbursement. So your gym membership. Those are the kind of things that are listed as the most popular right now. And that was according to HR Director magazine.
Marty, what about you, man?
I think she touched a lot of it, right? But one thing that a client of mine recently did was I'm telling you, you can negotiate whatever. If you feel like you want it, it's no harm in asking. So he applied with this particular client, applied for a in-office role, and literally transitioned the whole entire role to remote. When you do that, so when you show up in the way that you show up in the interview, and you display that you are the value or the solution that they need, companies sometimes will like, hey, whatever you want, like whatever you need, I'm gonna do this. So a fully in office role is now fully remote. Now that's an added bonus. Like some things, if you want it, ask for it. And even in regards to tuition reimbursement, loan repayment options. So if you have some, because I work in higher education, so student loans are big, right? So making sure, seeing if they have that program where they help you pay off your student loans. So those are my two to give.
Ooh,
those are some good ones.
Yeah, it feels like we cover most. I'd say one other area might be like the startup space, or companies that are able to offer stock compensation, stock options, right? Or equity.
Yes.
Because how many times have we heard stories of, oh, so and so just started 4 years later, the company went public, now they're a millionaire. And it's like, well, if you really believe in the company, and also you can utilize the fact that, well, now I have vested interest, and not that I wasn't going to do the best possible, but now I have vested interest in the company's success, right, over time. I want us to get that next round of funding. I want us to eventually IPO. I want to stay for the 3 to 4 years for my stocks to vest, right? And some companies are even like, you can reduce the amount of time potentially. It depends on the company's what do you call it, requirements, or what they've set in place for all employees. But sometimes you can negotiate time frame for vesting for equity, which could be very interesting, which might be like 2 years instead of 4. It gives you a little bit more flexibility to kind of take those earnings up front. The companies like Adobe Systems or HubSpot, right? They provide awesome benefits like IVF or, fertility treatments, right? And they pay for this, and that's not covered by everybody, right? But this is becoming a more spoken about challenge for a lot of people, right? And I think it's cool to have companies step in. Gender reassignment surgery, which is also another big one here, right? Especially if you're trying to also see if the company's values align with your own. So there are these like added benefits that have been shifting and evolving over time. And who knows, man? Soon it's going to be like cryptocurrency. Give me put some crypto in my crypto wallet, or whatever it may be, or like even choosing to work in blockchain and getting some of these benefits. It'd be weird not to ask if you're working in blockchain, because that's a direction a lot of this stuff is heading in technology. So there's there are so many benefits like across the board, and get curious, talk to others, see what else is out there, and you'll really be able to open up your mind to a lot more possibilities and what you can ask for if you feel salary is not exactly where you want it to be, or even if it is, you should ask for these things, right? Gym membership.
Yeah.
Do I get, they have like the exercise piece too. So, all right. I think we've done pretty well here. We got 50 minutes in. This is 20 minutes more than we had anticipated, but we had great questions. So how about we end with a final thought, right? A final thought from each of us, and then we will keep in touch with all of our attendees via LinkedIn. Frida, start us off.
I just want to thank everyone who took time out on a Friday evening, y'all, to come be with us, because if you're not here, it's just the three of us talking to each other. So first of all, I just need to acknowledge that. And I would say my takeaway is you are your best advocate. Consider your worth, your value, and think about your value, not in the moment when you're negotiating, but for the lifespan you plan to be in that role, in that position. And consider asking. Just ask.
Just ask.
So absolutely, I do agree. And the thing I want to add is, for my final thoughts is, know that you're worth it. I think a piece of that is, a lot of us battle internally when asking the question, asking for more, right? Know that you are worth the money that you're asking for. Now, if you feel it in your heart to ask, that means you think at the very least, that you're worth it. So go ahead and push the button and push the needle and ask, right? But in this larger scheme of things, and know that you're worth it, and go get what you desire. I think we all deserve to live. My personal philosophy is that we all deserve to live a life of luxury, and whatever that looks like for us, it looks like for us. And so go live a luxurious life. So that's my take.
I love it. I need to give myself permission to do that.
Yeah, me too.
Shoot. Yeah, I will. And then, I guess from my end, it's just, if you feel like you are afraid to ask, and you sense this fear that's coming up, you got to sit with it and ask yourself where it's coming from. Where's this fear coming from? Dig in. Did something happen in the past that like really make you believe that you're not going to get what you're looking for? Take yourself down a worst case scenario. Like, what's the worst thing could happen? They say no. Okay. Did they rescind the offer? Probably not. I don't, that doesn't happen too often, right? Especially when you're pushing back, just asking for a reasonable amount more. I mean, if you're going wild here, like maybe they may rescind, but it's very rare, right? But more than that, it's that understanding of self is going to be so important in making sure that you show up authentically and demand and get the value that you deserve. You'd be surprised with that authenticity. You won't even have to negotiate that hard. It's just going to be quite evident. It's going to be quite evident what your value is, and they're gonna come in and meet you at the top of the range or even past that, because they're like, we cannot miss out on this candidate, and everyone has that in them, right? And if you're saying no one would do that for me, you better already you check in right after this call. Check in with yourself right after this call. Book 30 minutes with Frida. She'll help you check in on that stuff a little bit, like what's going on there. But you have to, like Frida said, be your own advocate first, right? So. Yeah. With all that said, we hope there was a lot of value added here. We have a lot of thanks coming in through the chat. You're welcome, Jasneet and Gail and Yaro and Diraj and the LinkedIn user, the mysterious LinkedIn. I don't know why it's coming up like that, but we so appreciate everyone joining us today. Stay connected, enjoy your weekend, and love yourself. And we'll see you all. Probably we should do this again, probably in like the next month or two. What do you think?
I would love it. You took the thought out of my head, man.
Cool.
At least every 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, everyone can. Why don't you if everyone who came here today has a topic that they're itching to talk about, let us know. We'll take it into consideration when we plan the next one. All right.
Okay.
Eli,
All
thank
right.
you so much. You're the hostess with the mostest.
I receive the compliment, and look forward to doing it again soon. All right. Much
Okay.
love. Much love,
Bye,
See
everyone.
everybody. Bye,
y'all.
Eli. Bye, Marty.
See ya.